Hey everybody! So I'm coming to you from Bailey's Harbor, Wisconsin up in Door County right now. And I just learned about a new type of lighthouse that uses not just one, but two towers, like you see behind me. Let me tell you about it. So in 1848, Captain Justice Bailey was sailing on Lake Michigan when a storm suddenly came up. He pulled into the nearest harbor, which you see in front of you, which helped him to safety. While he was here, he explored the area. He returned with such favorable reports that they decided to build a settlement here, which they named Bailey's Harbor in his honor. As Bailey's Harbor grew, they wanted to make it a safe place for boats to come in and out. And as a result, in 1852, they decided to build a lighthouse near the edge of the harbor. Unfortunately, that original lighthouse, which you see here, didn't last very long. Only 14 years later, in 1866, they started construction on other lighthouses to replace it. Instead of the regular type of lighthouse that we're generally used to, they opted instead for range lights, which involves building two smaller structures fairly close together. Now, in order for range lights to work, one of the towers has to be farther back from the other tower and also higher up, as you see here. By doing that, ships can tell if they're on the right range line or course to steer safely into the harbor. If a ship is on a good course, like you see in the center panel, the two lights will line up above and below each other. If a ship is too far to the left or to the right, like you see on the side panels, those lights will be offset from each other. If we zoom into the shorter range light up front, we'll see that it burns a red light. Zooming into the taller range light out and back, we'll see that it burns a white light. As a result, this is what a ship's captain would see if they sailed into Bailey's Harbor at night. Based on how the red and white lights line up, they would know if they were on a good course or not. Even though the lights look pretty close, it's still a pretty good hike between them. It took me 3 minutes to make this hike, which you're now seeing sped up at 20 times speed. Because this taller lighthouse sits on top of what looks like a normal house, you wouldn't even guess it was a lighthouse, unless you took a look down this long corridor to see the other range light and the baby on. So just like the upper and lower ridge lights were necessary for sailors to navigate Bailey's Harbor, there's times in our lives where we have to navigate some tricky decisions. That might be a big choice coming up. That might be a problem we have faced. But at times like that, it's important not to try and make that decision on your own. So for today's challenge, think about the people that you talk to when you have to make a difficult decision or are working through a problem. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's some friends. It might be a favorite aunt or uncle. Whoever it is, we can use a discussion with them as a sounding board to help us figure out what our thoughts are a little bit better. When we can use someone else to help us work through our thoughts, we can use those conversations like as navigation aids or range lights to help us get through tricky situations. All right, you take care.